kitchen when the kitchen gets hot. Ghosts, ghost visitors. We visit nightmare, we visit dread. Ghosts, ghost visitors. We visit faceless, we visit dead.
Welcome to Ghost Facers. Today is a very special episode. We're doing things a little bit differently for Hunterween.
Ooh.
Let's get him.
Oh, I didn't know you were cocking a gun. I thought you were doing the jerk off motion.
It's the problem with doing this over Zoom.
I didn't hear the so I just saw you shaking your hand like that.
That's right. Nothing gets me harder than Halloween. Let's do this.
Yeah, you're not allowed to give out candy anymore, right?
Just because the authorities won't let me.
Yes, we're doing something special for Halloween. How could we let a Halloween go by with a show like this and not do something special, funky, about maybe the scariest monster I've ever heard of?
Yes, I don't even know what you're going to be talking about today, but that's the premise for today. We're just doing a special Dad's Journal.
That's right.
Talking about a real world monster. So someone may know him as the current sitting president.
God, so heavy-handed.
We're going to talk about some orange monster that's currently sitting in a big white house.
Oh God, no, we're not doing that. I have to put that out of my mind for now. Yeah, we're gonna do a special Dad's Journal. I found a monster that they haven't covered on the show, and with only a few episodes left, I'm pretty confident they will not cover.
Ooh.
So,
what do you got? What's the lore say?
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about the Nuckelavee.
That seems like a thing that I've tried to pull off in bed and it never works.
You know what? You know, like that's how the French say, like, might as well stick a finger in. They go Nuckelavee.
I thought that was the French Canadian hockey move. Nuckelavee.
Gave him the old Nuckelavee.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. So a Nuckelavee, we're going to Scotland for this one. We're going to basically.
Oh, going to get a little spooky.
Oh hi, we're talking the Nuckelavee. Yeah, this goes to like the Orkneys, which
second breakfast? Are we?
Apparently, as I was looking this up, I was like, oh, the adjective for things from the Orkneys is Orcadian. I was really hoping it would be Orcish, but
yes.
You know.
God, if you could blend all of your passions together, that's really the dream.
I'm going to start by describing this monster. I think it's going to scare the shit out of you because I'm looking at an artist's rendering of it, and I won't be able to sleep tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so the Nuckelavee is this like malevolent, basically sea demon. It comes from the ocean, and it comes out basically like in wintertime. It's sort of it's responsible for withering crops and horrible storms and all sorts of terrifying things. The Nuckelavee is described to look like kind of like a centaur, part human, part horse, except not like a centaur the way you're picturing it. Imagine if the horse had just a human torso coming out of its back, so it almost looked like a person riding a horse. But the person didn't have legs; they were just fused to the back of the horse.
Jesus!
But also, their arms would be long enough to reach the ground from the back of the horse.
What?
And
what?
also, the horse has one eye. And also,
well, this clearly couldn't get any worse.
Also, one more thing: the entire thing is skinless.
What?
So it's like
I need to look this up.
It's just a muscled cyclops horse with a human torso with like simian
Oh.
arms
Oh no.
that rides
no.
out of the sea.
No, this isn't okay. I'm looking at this right now. I don't like this at all.
Isn't that the creepiest shit ever?
But it's like a friendly thing, right? Like it's a well-intentioned monster.
Yeah, it comes and tucks you in at night.
Yeah, with its long arms, it can do it from outside.
Oh god. So this horrifying nightmare creature,
Who comes up with this?
this thing comes from, like I said, comes from the sea. The even creepier thing is this is just how it manifests when it escapes the sea. Basically, the mythology of this Orcadian mythology says that in the summertime, it's actually trapped in the sea by this deity known as the Mother of the Sea, who manages in the summer to keep it contained. When we don't know what it looks like when it is part of the sea. But when it comes on land, it takes this form. Of all the forms it could choose, it takes this one.
Oh my god.
The skinless cyclops horse with a human torso growing out of its back. So this creature has very sort of broad, evil, kind of demonic powers. It's a sort of like demon of the natural world, not necessarily like from hell, like a heaven and hell thing. It can, like I said, it can wither crops. It has like toxic breath. It could cause drought. It could spread disease and plague in livestock and humans. It was sort of one of those things where it was like this sort of catch-all to describe things that happen that you can't explain, right? You know, like the way that lots of mythologies have like a monster or a god that's like capricious or whatever, and it's like, oh man, well, the storms ruined our crops. I guess it's because we didn't appease the god. The Nuckelavee sort of took the form of like, we must have pissed off the Nuckelavee. We did something to make it angry, and then it did this to us. It's got a weirdly, I'd say, specific kind of myth. Like
it's weirdly specific in the way it looks.
I mean, first of all, yes, the way it looks, very specific. I mean, the image you're probably looking at is actually slightly incorrect because it's also meant to have like an oversized head, like a Funko Pop, like.
Of course.
Again, skinless.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's supposedly one eyewitness account from way back. And that's basically where most of this myth comes from, is this supposed one eyewitness account. Like, I'm on the mythology wiki. It's just general mythology wiki looking at this. And it says things like, Nuckleavees are strongly built. They stand nearly 6 feet tall at their horse head and about 9 feet tall at their humanoid head, with a weight of about 2,000 pounds. Now, that's probably just approximating what the weight of like a horse and a human would be.
Is, yeah.
But still, just the idea that someone is going to the trouble of being like, this is how much it weighs, is kind of funny. Because, you know what's happened on the show when we do this Dad's Journal segment. I go like, yeah, the show basically made it up because it's different everywhere. But this Nuckelavee thing, because we're picking a specific regional monster, it's got like this very intricate sort of thing. So not only is it specific in terms of how it looks, it's specific in terms of like how you would fight it. This is a thing that when we do the Dad's Journal segment, I don't often have concrete real world lore for how you would fight a monster, but I have it for the Nuckelavee.
What? So not only did one person see this thing, but they've already come up with a way. If only one person's seen it, how do they know how to fight it?
Well, I mean, like, one person didn't come up with the whole myth of it. It's a cultural myth, but one person has claimed to see it. So certainly the appearance portion comes mostly from that account.
Yeah.
These other things are kind of broader. Some things are tied to kind of like Old Norse, like kind of Proto-Norse mythologies, other Celtic mythologies. There are sort of similarities to a couple of other cultures. So because it comes from the sea. It's a being of salt water, which means it has an aversion to fresh water. So, for example, if you encounter it on land, if you hop a freshwater stream, it can't follow you because it can't cross the fresh water.
You would think that the salt water would be bad for a creature with no skin.
I guess you're used to it, but yeah. You think it would hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then so the freshwater thing extends to it won't come out of the sea if it's raining.
This terrifying demon monster is afraid of getting wet, even though it's from the...
This is some of the craziest stuff I've ever read. I'm fully in love with this monster. I mean, I understand why it's not on Supernatural, but there's a part of me that's like, we had whole stuff with Crowley and Rowena. We could have gone to Scotland and done this.
I mean, it's true, but the amount of like money for special effects, they couldn't even make a angels fight.
Well, this is the thing. Like, the show has found a way to basically make every monster look human.
Yeah,
almost every monster looks human. I don't know how you do that with this.
No.
But so yeah, it has an aversion to fresh water. According to that one eyewitness account, he only managed to get away from it because he was on the shore of a lake, and he accidentally splashed it. And it caused enough, gave him enough time to hop a stream so that it couldn't follow him. Yeah, kind of like a Wicked Witch of the West sort of thing, I guess.
Oh, what a world! I'm melting.
So there's that. The Nuckelavee also hates the smell of burning seaweed. Now, this is specific because I think the burning seaweed thing was part of some old cultural traditions, maybe some rituals and things like that. But then they tied it into this lore and said that smell will enrage the Nuckelavee and it will it'll kill your cattle. It'll the only thing that can stop the Nuckelavee is that mother of the sea deity that can contain it for the summer. It's truly wild. And it's not this isn't just a general Scottish myth. It's not just a general Pictish myth. It's specific to the Orkney Islands. It's specific to Orcadian culture, which is pretty... Yeah, everything about this is
Do you think that it's okay with
drying
seaweed? What about a good nori? Does that upset it?
Listen, let's just say it's a good thing it's in Scotland and not in Japan.
Not good.
Yeah. This is a monster so terrifying. I couldn't even imagine it being being adapted to live action or anything. However, in popular culture, there are a couple of examples.
Really?
There are. So this is just according to the Wikipedia page, so take with a grain of salt. But there's a web series called Ruby, RWBY. It's a comic, and there's basically a monster in there that's very clearly based on the Nuckelavee. And then I think in the show Grimm, do you remember that show that was sort of knockoff Supernatural?
Oh, really?
In that show, apparently a Nuckelavee is a kind of horse-like sort of monster in it. Yeah. So it actually has shown up in things. The things that it's sort of meant to be kind of connected to that I was saying in other lore are things like water horses or things like that. Now, some of those ones in other Celtic lore and that they aren't malevolent, they aren't evil, but the water horse is the thing that eventually morphs into other monsters around the world, into the Loch Ness Monster, Ogopogo, all of these sort of water dwelling.
I love that band.
All of these sort of water-dwelling creatures kind of come from a similar sort of root, but for some reason on the Orkneys, they went to this really, instead of just being a fun Nessie thing, they were oh no, it's a skinless centaur that will...
that classic demon trope.
Isn't Isn't that insane?
That's
Isn't
the
that wild?
craziest thing I've ever heard of. How did you find this thing?
I was originally just going to talk about the Ogopogo because I was like, it's a Canadian monster. It's something fun. It's kind of like the Loch Ness monster. And then you sort of do the fascinated clicking. I clicked like 3 links and I ended up on the Nuckelavee and I was like, oh shit, I got to talk about this.
Do you know what the Canadian version of this monster would be called?
I don't know.
Nuckelavee.
Oh, god damn it. I should have figured that one out. Boo on you.
Nuckelavee.
I thought it would be fun without spending, too much time on it.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be fun for this little special like installment of Dad's Journal, this sort of Hunterween kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would if we had to pitch a supernatural episode that used the Nuckelavee, or had to make like a version of a Nuckelavee we could feasibly get into production on Supernatural? How would you pitch it?
I mean, I think that you would have to do it with both, like you would have to have done it a few seasons from the end where like Crowley and Rowena would have to go back to Scotland because their family was in trouble and they were basically something to do with maybe like, I don't know, you might have to do something with time travel or something to do with like the Nuckelavee affecting their family, and you would have to send everybody back to Scotland to deal with it.
Right.
I think that's probably the way to do it. I would think it's either that or someone.
Would you try to actually show it as like this skin? Like, would you have to do it like Wendigo style, where it's mostly in shadows, and then you get like one shot where it's like actually like that? Or would it be like a human that, like, would you adapt the monster to be just something an actor could play? Or
no, I think you got to do it like the Wendigo.
Right.
But what's fortunate is that it's not actually, it probably wouldn't be that challenging to make it like it would take a lot of prosthetics to put on a horse, I think, but at the end of the day,
the idea of the makeup artist having to do all the horse prosthetics.
At the end of the day, it's just a guy on a horse. Like it's not that challenging to make it.
Yeah, you just have to CG out his legs.
Yeah, or just prosthetic over the legs or something. But
yeah.
Like it can't be that challenging. It's at the end of the day, it's two things that already exist.
Well,
it'd be much more challenging to do like the Loch Ness monster.
Sure, I see what you're saying. Although, I mean, the show has referenced Nessie.
Yes.
It's entirely possible that a Nuckelavee is out there. I know I mentioned Crowley and Rowena as like maybe a way into this, but I've just been thinking about it. I think you put the Nuckelavee in purgatory.
Ooh.
As one of the elder monsters, like the Leviathan, stuff like that. The sort of like the early creations of.
It does
God.
feel like a girl or like an early creation for sure.
Yeah, like something that's like a little bit like, well, I only had half of a person and I had this extra horse with no skin. I just put them together. And...
Yeah, I've got all these pieces. What if I shoved them together and see what that?
It's when you like. It's like when you like lose a bit of your Lego sets. You're like, just kind of.
Or at the end of a Lego set when they always give you too many of the extra pieces, like just in case you lose some, and you're like, I guess I could try to make something with this. And it's like, but you need skin for things. I'm sure it's fine. It'll live in the ocean.
Yeah. I think either of those would be really fascinating. I think if we ever got lucky for, years from now, a supernatural movie, a reunion of some kind, I want to see some like non-human monsters. I want a Nuckelavee. This is like,
hell yeah.
You hear me, Carver? You hear me, Kripke? You hear me?
What
Singer?
else you got going on?
Yeah. I think I would love to see something like that if they ever got their hands on like just a crazy amount of budget that could blow on prosthetics or CG or something like that.
I just think that it might be too scary for Supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. It is a giant skinless thing. But I mean, the nice like flip side is all they have to do is like turn on a shower and it will like run screaming because they just have to open a bottle of Evian.
Which just seemed like a good like Dean thing for him to figure out. Like, So, like, do the
Yeah,
guys get like water guns or something?
Yeah, it would be
Like
funny
super
if
soakers?
yeah, because then Dean would have this like a great moment of like kid in a candy store, like we never got to play Super Soakers
Yes!
as kids. We're gonna play Super Soakers. You would like they would like kind of lure it into like the woods. They'd basically make like a paintball range,
Oh
but
my
have
God.
Super Soakers and go after it. Like I think you could make it. It would both be a very scary episode and it has the potential to be one of those like fun kind of kid Dean kind of episodes too, I think.
Or they somehow trick it to go down a slide in a water park. Just the horse them trying to convince the horse to go up the stairs to the thing. It's like clip, 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 and it's like looking around like clip,
They
clip.
make it go down that like that big toilet bowl one like an Ontario place. Like,
Yes. I'm just like forcing a horse to go upstairs. Like clip, 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 clip.
it's like, hey, sorry, pal, you're far too tall to ride on this slide.
I love that you always use that voice from The Simpsons.
Like it's the first guy that I think of. Like I just need like generic like carnival worker.
boyo.
Like, oh, hey, recommended that you have some skin before you go on this.
Hey, what do you think you're doing here? You got no skin in this game.
Oh god. But yeah, that is the Nuckelavee. It's a monster that, you know, spoiler alert, I know we're only in the first season. You're not going to see a Nuckelavee on Supernatural. It
No.
hasn't shown up yet. I guarantee it won't show up before the end.
So I
but
think we
that's
dropped
why
a bunch of spoilers about the future of this show, and so we might want to do something at the beginning.
I think we only just named characters. I don't think we actually really said.
I mean, I did say
Much
angels
in a
at one
way.
point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically, possibly a spoiler, but not overly. I don't think we've spoiled anything specific. But
Sure.
if we have, I'm sorry, that's what you got for listening to a special episode out of order.
Yeah, if it's not numbered, we're not held responsible.
That's kind of my approach in general.
All right, well, that is it for this week. If you have any notes about a future episode, or are you from Scotland and you have some information about the Nuckelavee that we were unaware of today?
Oh my God, please, if any of you are listening in Scotland, if you're from the Orkneys, if you know someone Orcadian, please tell me anything about the Nuckelavee. I am fascinated by this thing. It's horrifying. It's hilarious. I want to know everything I can.
Can you give us information about the orc?
Yeah, exactly.
You could do all of this through our email.
Ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
Or of course, we've got a ton of social media accounts that you can reach us, and they're all one name, baby.
That's right. It's an SEO wet dream. It's Ghostfacers Pod on Facebook,
no.
Twitter, and Instagram.
It's a wet dream. Don't tell the Nuckelavee.
Hey, no. Nuckelavee would be okay with that because that's salty.
Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.